prayer. Our affirmation of living water unity. Together, please. Living Water Unity is a thriving spiritual community inspired to embrace and share our abundant good now. I am empowered for joyful living by expressing God in each moment. And who would like to offer the daily word this morning?
I'll go ahead and do it. Haven't done it in a while.
Okay.
Today is Sunday, August 8th, 2021. And today's word is protected. Through my oneness with God, I feel protected. Sometimes I may feel at the mercy of a changing, tumultuous world I cannot control. This is never true. Even though the chaos of the world may swirl around me, at the center of my being is a place of perfect peace and calm. Whenever I am in need of a safe refuge, I turn to God within to reach this place of tranquility and reclaim my feeling of security and protection. The sun always rises after the longest, darkest night. I remind myself of this truth and feel grateful as I allow the light of spiritual understanding to release and reclaim whatever power I may have unwittingly given to a fear-based thought. Fully in tune with the divine presence within me, I move safely and confidently through every challenging circumstance. And today's scripture is from 1 John 4:4. The one who is in you is greater than the one who is in the world.
Thank you, Clarence. And our affirming prayer. So as we recognize that this spot that we are located in, this time in which we reside right now, this is the time of communion. This is the place of communion. Wherever we are, when we bring our attention to this awareness of the presence of God, then we are ready for that communion. So we rest in the awareness that God's love has no end and is a power that knows no bounds. God's healing power of divine life is restoring, healing, and revitalizing our world and our lives in this very moment. We let go of any fears or anxieties, affirming that divine order is now, has always been, and will always be at work in our lives. We bless our global family with the vision of fulfilling and empowering relationships, filled with an abundance of love. We express our own divinity in all we think, say, and do. And so it is. And I invite your prayers now, that we can each hold those prayers, offered one at a time, to this, in this crucible of unconditional love.
I'd like to offer one. Prayers for a former co-worker and old friend from decades ago. Her name is Randy. I just found out a couple days ago that she has recently gone to a memory care facility. She has severe dementia now and is fighting cancer as well. So prayers for her comfort and prayers for healing and prayers for Randy's well-being.
And so it is. I have a prayer request for Betty for peace of mind and strength and healing. And so it is.
I would like to ask for prayers for my brother Roy. He recently came home from the hospital. He's been diagnosed with pulmonary hypertension and is better now, but still having difficulty breathing.
And so it is.
I'd like to ask for prayers that our living water community not only survives but thrives.
And so it is.
I also offer a prayer of thanksgiving for the wonderful gathering last Monday at Dazzle to honor and celebrate the life of Don Grove. It was a wonderful outpouring of love and joy and fabulous music.
And so it is. I'd like to offer a prayer for my friend Richard as he is recovering from the stroke that he experienced a week and a half ago, I guess. 2 weeks ago. And so it is.
Prayers for complete recovery for my niece Crystal and her husband Brady in Kansas City. They both been experiencing COVID. Crystal, not quite so bad. Was able to be medicated at home. Brady was in intensive care in the hospital. Was moved in there because they needed his bed. And yesterday they sent him home from the hospital because they needed more space. So prayers for peace of mind and complete recovery.
And so it is. I'd like to offer a prayer for Linda's cousin who has been vaccinated but is down with COVID, significantly impacted her health. And so it is.
If I could offer one more prayer, please. The facility where my dad lives, San Marino, had a case of COVID last week of a vaccinated resident, and they contained it. They isolated the person, and they continued living in the facility pretty normally, and I'm just wanting prayers for San Marino and all facilities that they remain safe and protected.
And so it is. As we isolate our focus of prayers for particular individuals, it's also important or relevant to remember that we offer prayers for our community, that our community remains healthy. And withdrawing the boundaries of our community and allowing the health of each and every sentient being on this planet that we, each and every one of us, maintain health. And so it is. Are there any other prayer requests?
I would like to offer prayers for rain to put the fires out.
And so it is.
I'd like to add Greece and Turkey, where the wildfires are raging and people and history are threatened.
And so it is. We look around at the fires that are burning in Siberia, fires that are burning in France and Germany, as you mentioned, Turkey and Greece. We are focused on the fires, but there's also another pending tragedy, is the shutting down of the Gulf Stream by the influx of fresh water into the North Atlantic. So I'd like to hold that Gulf Stream in prayer, that it maintain its flow, that the Atlantic overturning circulation be maintained, because That is vital to the health of this planet, to the habitation of this planet. And so it is. Are there any other prayer requests? We'll take that as a prayer request. For all of those prayers unstated, for all of those people who are undergoing traumas in their lives of various sorts, life-threatening, career-threatening, financial-threatening, relationship-threatening, health-threatening. We hold this planet in this embrace of unconditional love. We see it lifting and transforming. We see our health returning. We see the sustainability of this planet returning. And so in this awareness we give thanks. And so it is that together we say Amen.
Amen.
Well, Doug, you were anxious to play, so why don't you get going on that?
And I thought I was muted.
No, it was great.
And it was a prayer request after all.
Yeah.
My special request today, this goes out to Trinity. She asked me Monday night if I would play Irving Berlin's What'll I Do? And I certainly will. For you, Trin.
Thank you, Doug.
Hey, Doug, that
As
was wonderful.
always, music is such an enriching experience when it's offered well.
If you like music.
Yeah. Well, music is one form, and there are other visual forms, auditory forms, verbal forms of various sorts that draw upon inspiration. We have we look around and we see people that seem to be just a constant font of ideas and activities. And then others of us have a hard time figuring out what we're going to have for lunch. but inspiration, or the breath of the Spirit, actually breath of Spirit rather than breath of God, but in terms of hierarchy, I guess it could be breath of God as well, right? So inspiration, though, is the basis of human advancement. It's the basis of our personal and societal and cultural uplifting. Teilhard de Chardin saw inspiration as a fundamental evolutionary force, drawing from the new sphere, that is, that realm of knowledge that embraces our planet, embraces our consciousness, with the ultimate objective being the omega point, that point of convergence of humanity and consciousness and knowledge in what Charles Fillmore referred to as God mind. And so this evolutionary force, this inspiration, is truly an essential element of change. It's an essential element of intentional change. And it's often regarded as a happenstance thing, something that either comes or doesn't come, something that either knocks on my front door and I open the door and let it in, or it passes me by and there's nothing I can do to control it. Some would say, I'm too tired to be inspired. But I might change that around to ask the question, are you too tired to be inspired, or are you not inspired and therefore you're too tired? In this project I've been working on with Paul here at the house, there has been opportunity for us to get really tired. I can only speak for myself, but I find that the process is one that, my body might be tired, but I am very active and very revitalized by this project. My body's tired, but I don't feel tired. I feel I feel ready for rest, but I'm nonetheless feeling ready to go again. So, of the people that I've known that have lived their life full of zest, full of vigor, right up to the very end, the people that I've known have a common characteristic that I've noticed. And granted, this is a small universe, right? I mean, I have a limited number of people in my realm, and there are only a few of those in that realm that have that zest right up to the end. But something I've noticed is that they tend to all have inspiration as part of their being right up to the end. So if there's a causal link, then perhaps we can learn something that we can use to revitalize our own lives. And most of us have been through, we are veterans of this life trade. I look at the people that are here, and I'd say, Andrew's probably the youngest one here, but as I look across this community that's present here this morning, I would venture that every one of us has had some life-changing decision that we made, and I'd like to hear from you. What have been those inspirations that have led to that life change? I know I've mentioned my friend Richard. My friend Richard was an inspiration for me. It was on a walk that he and I took out on some open space here east of the house. It was on a walk that we took where I articulated this idea of going into ministry, and he was observing that overhead there was an eagle that was circling us. I don't know whether the eagle was looking for lunch, or that there was, as the Native Americans refer to the presence of the eagle as being portents of an important moment. But Linda and I had gone through a period in our life where, in our relationship, where it was really, really stressful. It was hard. We had relationship issues that seemed to be insurmountable at the time. I mean, that's often the case, right? But that it seems to be insurmountable when you're in the midst of it. But there was one movie that I saw that that was really inspiring to me as well. I mean, we draw inspiration from all aspects of our experience, or we can. And a movie that I saw, Brother, Sun, Sister Moon. How many of you have seen that movie? Brother, Sun, Sister Moon. It was I can't remember the Italian director that had several famous movies, popular movies. But Brother, Sun, Sister Moon was a depiction of the life of Francis of Assisi. And so that movie occurred as Linda and I were starting to heal the relationship. And it was also part of the inspiration for me to get into ministry. And so I'd like to hear from you, your life-changing events, your life-changing decisions, the inspirations behind them. Floor is open. And remember, you are muted.
I will say Franco Zeffirelli, director.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'll consider the inspiration question.
Okay.
Well, I don't know. Some things are not as direct as, an eagle flying overhead. But I've thought about the decisions I've made in the past. And, for example, choosing my college. I listened to my high school, sent representatives from many colleges. I looked at literature. I couldn't look up websites at that time. So all this studying of it. And then I just felt like, I don't know why, but I want to go to Regis. Regis feels right. I don't know what my life would have been if I had made a different decision. But here I sit with someone I met at Regis, and everything that followed from that, and just things I chose to study were different because of the circumstances I encountered there. So it was just a gut feeling.
Yeah, we look back over our lives and we see this cascade of events, this cascade of thought, this cascade of ideas that come from a particular decision that seemed to be not necessarily life-changing at the time, but wow, how important those decisions were in terms of where we are today. Thank you.
Sometimes it's just a moment that, like I said, you don't realize it's setting your whole course.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes inspiration comes like a knock on the side of the head, though. You know, sometimes it just is one quick decision, and like, because of this, I have to do that. So that's the way it was when, last October, September. My dad had a few incidents where he was showing that he couldn't stay in New Mexico, and it was within a month that Paul and I moved him to Colorado, and it was just a really quick series of events, but it was right because the place I had been looking at for 10, 20 years for family members to move into had an opening. I thought, okay, that's my inspiration. This is it. Here we go. And here we are today. Things are going very well. And that was a kind of a knock on the side of the head, but circumstances were perfect for it to happen quickly.
Yeah, inspiration can come from negative circumstances as well as positive circumstances. Negative events versus positive events. Negative relationships versus positive relationships. I mean, inspiration can come from all aspects of our experience if we're open to it. And that's a critical thing, is being open to that, that decision, whatever that decision might be inspired by. It indeed has life-changing implications, can come from that.
In the middle 70s, I learned that creative inspiration is always there. I went with 3 other teachers to Taos, New Mexico to study the culture and history of that region for a week, a master's degree program. And one afternoon, we 4 women went downtown in Taos and walked into a gallery. No one was there, but there were all these wonderful paintings of Native Americans and the West and the mountains, and we were admiring them and noticing that the prices on them were extremely high. And in walked this really, really tall cowboy with a cowboy hat on. He said, "Hi, I'm Kelly Pruitt. These are my paintings." And we were talking with him, and one of our members was an art teacher. And he said, "Well, would you guys like to watch me paint?" And we said, "Well, sure." He said, "All I ask is that you sit on these stools here and that you remain quiet, and I'm going to go through this process where I meditate and I draw an idea from a plethora of ideas out there, and I paint it." So we sat quietly, we watched him go into a deep meditation, and then he opened his eyes, picked up his brushes. He had a small canvas in front of him, and he began painting the face of a Native American child that was just the most gorgeous thing. And we were just blown away. And it opened me up to seeing that, as a number of us here are, I like to write. Other people paint or draw or make music. That it's there. You just have to open yourself and reach out and take that idea and use it for yourself and for the greater world. Turns out Kelly Pruitt, who passed away about 10 years ago, he has paintings hanging in the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York City, in museums in Europe, and museums all over the world. We didn't know. He was just this cowboy guy who was a painter.
That's a great story. Thanks, Chris. Anyone else?
At one time, I had a friend who was starting a newspaper where I lived in the mountains, and she told me she'd like for me to write a history column. So I did for 12 years, and then she sold the paper. So I decided, what am I going to do with all this research? I put it together and got pictures and published a book. And it went very well. It paid for the whole publishing fees plus the money that I donated to the church. But that book is out of print, and I gave the Historic Society the pictures, and now they're calling me and asking me if I have any more books. I can't publish anymore, and somebody borrowed my last copy, and I thought, well, I didn't have any left, and then one showed up, and so I now have a copy, but that changed my life for a while there, so, altogether.
I would guess that it changed your life, period. I mean, not just for a while, but everything that has flowed from that experience
Right.
has had impact on you right up to this very moment.
Oh, it has. I also managed to go onto eBay and get a copy, buy one of those copies back.
Really? Oh, that's interesting. Okay.
So it keeps popping up.
Any other experiences, inspirations that you would like to share?
Mine is very mundane compared to the others. My divorce was just about final, and I had an opportunity to stop it, and I gave it some thought and decided not to and let it go through, which was very painful, but I look at my life since then, and I've had so many experiences and opportunities, and I just think I made the right decision.
Fear can get in the way of inspiration. Fear can be an obstacle. Oh no! What if that's I don't know what's going to happen if I make that decision, right? I don't know what's going to happen if I follow through with this inspiration, and so fear is a big obstacle for inspiration. So there are the adverse circumstances that can be the seed of inspiration or the stimulus of inspiration, and then there is the fear that steps in and says, "No, you don't want to do that. You don't want to change. You don't want to take that chance." Who knows what's going to happen? Thank you.
There are too many wisdom writers that have talked about how it's what we call the painful or the negative experiences in our lives that are actually have the most impact on us. They're the ones that we should include in our gratitude for everything. I love hearing your all stories. But it strikes me that the common thread of this inspiration would be to be aware and to be open to whatever the messages are that come through. And if we could make a misstep, all we have to do is step back on the path. Thank you.
Thank you, Jen.
Yeah, I think that's beautiful, Ginger. I think that's so true. Because one of stepping back on the path, one of my favorite quotes regarding creativity is creativity is giving yourself permission to make mistakes. And art is knowing which ones to keep.
Yeah.
I agree. Your message was perfect. Open.
Yes.
Open, receptive to the change that's coming as part of that inspiration.
So we look for these various stimuli of inspiration. Certainly relationships can be that. There is an opportunity for us to look at our, just when we go for a walk or go for a run, there's opportunity to just keep our eyes open, to keep our hearts open, and to feel the inspiration that comes from that. There's the intentional processes, for instance, of brainstorming or intentional thought cascades. There are challenges that we mentioned. The challenges, the people that can be inspiring. Particularly the positive people, but the negative people can be inspiring as well, in that they become lessons rather than examples, right? Walking in nature, listening to music, much to the chagrin of musicians, but certainly to the benefit of the rest of us. For $10 a month, you can have access to any piece of, or most pieces of music that have been published. And that, Linda has built a playlist of female vocalists that she had never heard of, but are now her favorite go-to music because of, in our case, Pandora, but Spotify and other music streaming services. But we have, with the technology that's available to us, we have with the opportunities of leisure time that we are blessed with because of the advances that our society have made, and the quality of life that we experience. We have so many opportunities for inspiration, but fear can shut it down. And if we consider that inspiration really is a breath of spirit or breath of God that is flowing through us, and if we also take the words that God is love to heart, then perhaps we can stimulate our own or build our own inspiring skills or skills of inspiration by being open to that love. And it's not that contractual love that we are so often exposed to, but that unconditional love. To be open to inspiration, or to be open to unconditional love, and to be a font of unconditional love, just might be a free way of inspiration that practicing allows us to be that person that is inspired, be that person that has a zest for life right up to the very end. I'd like you to consider that as I share with you the music of Sue Riley, Ready to Receive.
Come to me, I am ready. if you want to know why you're so tired so often, look at this banana.
Yeah, look at this banana. Let's take just a few minutes. I'd like you to let the resonance of that song just carry into this quiet time. And so it is. If you'd like to make a contribution to our ministry, to your ministry, indeed, still ours, you can make that contribution through the first article in the website, or you can go to our first article newsletter, or you can go to our website. Or you can just key in tinyurl.com/LWU donate, and that'll take you to that same page. And there you can make either one time or you can make recurring contributions. So as we hold this intention of contribution, of support to our ministry, support through financial means, through time, through loving energy, let us repeat together, divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. I give in love because I trust in God. And Doug, if you would, carry us on out. The light of God surrounds us, the love of God enfolds us, the power of God protects us, and the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. And